Section 5.4, Repairs and Upkeep. I've got two homes pictured here. The first home is a home that needs a lot of work. The outside needs to be painted. The door doesn't look like it looks that great. The porch is kind of falling apart. That house needs a lot of work. And in the second home, you can see that this home looks like it's been well maintained. The roof looks like it's in good condition. The outside paint looks great. The front yard looks great. It has a lot of curb appeal. So one of the homes has not been maintained and one of the homes is in great condition. Now there is some benefit to keeping up with your home so that it does not end up like the first picture. So if you keep up with your home, you'll retain more value in your home. And what that means is that if you had to sell your house quickly and you didn't have to, and you weren't planning to sell it, you could move quickly and you could still get quite a bit of money for the sale of that house. So the first house that doesn't look very good, people aren't going to pay a lot of money for that house because they're going to need to put a lot of work in it to get it livable. Whereas the second picture of the home that's well maintained, someone would pay full market price for that home and give them a good price for it. If you do keep up with your home and you consistently keep up with repairs and maintenance, it's a lot easier to keep up with. By doing your projects regularly and finishing a few things every year, you don't have to spend a lot of time keeping the house looking nice. Whereas the first picture there that needs a lot of TLC, that's going to take a long time to get it looking good. And if you do keep up with your home and you keep it in nice condition, you can really enjoy that living space. So with all of you being homeschooled and being in your home, you probably enjoy rooms that are well maintained and would prefer to be in those types of rooms than rooms that are not well maintained. All right, so there's kind of a few different types of home improvement projects that go into maintaining your home. So first off, you're going to have a lot of home repairs that are going to have to do with the inside of the house. So if you live in an older home and it's got plaster walls, those walls can get cracked. In general, every so many years, you should go through and touch up the paint in the different rooms. I know in our house we have a lot of trim and I'm constantly updating and touching up the paint on the trim work. Carpet gets old and you have to replace it every so often, and so most homes you replace carpet within 15 to 20 years, especially if you have little kids. You might replace it earlier. If you're older and no one's really dirtying the carpet, you may wait 20 or 30 years to replace it. Wood floors need to be refinished. You would have to work on that. There's electrical work that goes into a house. Outlets may not work or light switches may need to be fixed. Plumbing, you could have a leaky faucet or maybe a drain's not draining and you need to snake it. And then sometimes appliances just break and those need to be fixed or replaced. On the exterior of your home, if it's brick, you may need to fix the mortar between those bricks. If your home is painted, a lot of times you need to update the paint. Roofs wear out, so before they wear out, sometimes you need to repair different places where the roofing is coming off, or ultimately you may need to replace the roof. And animals will try and get in your attic, and so sometimes underneath the eaves you're going to have to go in there and fix that as well. And then homes have gutters and those need to be cleaned, and occasionally they also need to be fixed. And overall, there's just general outdoor work that needs to be done. So if you have trees on your property, you're going to have to rake the leaves. You may need to cut down branches that are growing in places that they shouldn't, or branches are dying and they need to be taken off so that they don't accidentally fall off. And then ultimately, sometimes trees just need to come down. If you want to have curb appeal and you have flowers, you'll need to maintain those flower beds. If you have a garage or a shed, or you want one and because you don't have one, then you may need to build it or maintain that. Your driveway will eventually need work at different times because it'll get cracks in it, or the sidewalk may need to be replaced in front of your house and you might want to fix that. And then if you have retaining walls, those will need to be maintained over time as well. Now there's kind of two factors to take into consideration of whether or not you should do the work yourself or whether or not you should hire it out. So when should you do the work yourself? Well, do you have the skills you need to do the work? If you have those skills, then you should do it yourself. And if you have the time to complete the project, you should do it yourself. But let's say you don't have the skills or you don't have the time. Well, if something needs to be done, and I'm not saying that you just want it to be done, something needs to be done, it's absolutely appropriate to hire it out if you lack the skills or if you don't have the time to finish the project. And there are some times where you maybe don't have the skill, but you want something done, then go ahead and hire that out as well. All right, these are kind of a list of projects that most people can complete on their own, even if they don't have a lot of skills. Most people can paint a room, they can get their yard work done, they could refinish cabinets that are already there. Most people can replace an appliance. Most people can actually replace a countertop or a toilet. Toilets are not very difficult to replace. Most people can fix their own gutters, and they can do small concrete projects. Here's a list of things that you may want to hire a professional for, and it's not to say that you have to. It just depends on the skill set that you have or that your family has and whether or not they could help you with these skills. So if you were trying to repair your chimney, those are often pretty high up. You may need a lift. It might not be easy to get to, and you might not know what you're doing. So you may not want to hire someone to work on that. If you don't have skills for electrical work and you need electrical wires run, or you want to replace an electrical box, you want to hire that out. If you want to take a wall out of your home and create an open space, some walls in older homes are load-bearing walls, and so you don't want to remove the wall without knowing whether or not it's safe for you to take a wall down. If your HVAC system is having issues and you don't know much about HVAC, you would need to hire someone to fix it. With plumbing, not everybody knows about plumbing, and if there's issues with the plumbing, you may need to hire someone. Let's say you want to lift a ceiling in a room. We lifted a ceiling in our bedroom, and if you don't realize how to lift rafters up in the attic safely so that your roof doesn't cave in, then you may want to hire someone out to lift a ceiling. And then also taking down very large trees, that may not be safe for you to do, and so you may want to hire a professional to do that as well. Now, home improvement projects can be expensive, and you need to know how much to budget for these. So there's kind of three factors that will impact the cost. The first one is the location that you live in. So depending on where you live would depend on how much things cost. You also need to take into consideration the condition of the home. If the home is in poor condition, then you're going to need to spend a lot more money on fixing it up. But if the home's in great condition, then you may not have many repairs and maintenance that need to be completed. And then the last factor is the age of the home. So if the home is really old, a lot of times older homes end up needing more work done to them just because things have worn out and they need a lot more work. So there's kind of a few different budgeting techniques that you can use to determine how much you're going to spend on repairs and maintenance. The first one is to itemize your costs by looking at historical trends. How much did you spend in the past? And we saw this in car repairs and maintenance also. How much do you typically spend per year? Well, that would be a great starting point for estimating and budgeting what you think you'll spend the following year. But if you don't really have historical data and you recently bought your home, then there's kind of two ways you can estimate how much you'll spend on a home that's in good condition. The first way is to look at what was the purchase price of your home, especially if you paid market value for it, and considering that the home's in good condition, you probably did pay market value for it. You could take 2% of the overall purchase price of that home and use that as your budget for general home repairs and maintenance. The second method would be to add up your mortgage payment, your taxes, and your insurance for the year and take 10% of that total. Those are kind of the two methods you can use to estimate how much you're going to spend on repairs and maintenance kind of for the first year or so until you build up some historical data. Now, not everybody can use this method because sometimes you have a lot of repairs that need to happen to your home, or maybe you have some specific projects you want to complete that are outside the normal repairs and maintenance. Like if you want to redo your kitchen, that would be way expensive, and that does not fall into general home repairs and maintenance. So for each project you want to complete, you would want to set up a separate project budget for that. So let's go on ahead and see a few practice problems. The first problem here, we have Luke owns a home valued at $200,000. He estimates he'll spend about 2% of the value of the home for annual repairs. How much should he budget? Well, for this, we're just going to take $200,000 and we're going to multiply it by 2%, and that gives us $4,000 for the cost of those home repairs for what he's going to budget. And then it says, after the year was over, Luke compared his budget to his actual spending. He spent $37.50 on repairs and maintenance. What percent of his home value did he spend on repairs and maintenance? Well, in this case, I'm going to take my $37.50 and I'm going to divide it by 200,000, and that's going to give me 1.9%. So the 2% was actually a pretty good estimate because he really only spent 1.9%. And I would say that overall for general repairs and maintenance, that you probably, if the home's in good condition, you won't have a ton of repairs and maintenance that you'll need to do over the year. Thaddeus is hiring a professional to redesign and update his kitchen. There will be 2 individuals working together and each will be paid $40 an hour. He is not replacing appliances, but is replacing or installing the following. He's going to get a new floor that's going to cost $1,000. He's replacing all his cabinets, and that's going to cost $10,000. He's getting new light fixtures, and those are $500. He's going to replace the sink and faucet for $500. The backsplash is going to cost him $300 for behind the sink. He wants concrete countertops, and those are going to cost $1,500. He also needs to rent a dumpster for $500. The professionals are not going to charge him for the custom design, but they are going to charge their labor by the hour. They estimate it will take 50 hours each for this project. So how much should Thaddeus budget for this project? Okay, so we've got a lot of factors going on here. So first off, we need to take into consideration how much time these professionals are going to spend and how much that's going to cost, because labor is going to be an expense for this project. So you have 2 people, so we have 2 times 40 hours, or $40 an hour, times 50 hours. And when we multiply that out, that's going to give us $4,000 for their labor. We also have several items that he's going to need to pay for. So we've got the $1,000 for the floor, $10,000 for the cabinet, $500 for new light fixtures, $500 for the new sink and faucet. We have $300 for the backsplash, $1,500 for a new countertop, and $500 for the dumpster that they're going to need to rent for when they pretty much demolish everything before they start. So if we add all of that up together, that gives us $18,300. And I would say that to completely redo your kitchen and every single thing in the kitchen, that this is not an unreasonable budget for a brand new kitchen. You could definitely save some money on those cabinets if you refinished them yourself, but if you had very specific custom cabinets, that might be an expense, and the concrete countertop is probably more expensive than other types of countertops, and so you know, you could save a little bit of money there as well. But to redo a kitchen, you're looking at least $5,000 to $10,000 easily, and $5,000 would be refinishing your own cabinets, whereas $10,000 for the entire budget would be getting new cabinets that you then refinished further to make them look good. So $18,000 for a new kitchen, not an unreasonable amount, especially if you hire someone else out to help do it.